The story begins on the planet Krypton, moments before its inevitable destruction. Jor-El, a brilliant scientist, and his wife, Lara, are determined to save their newborn son. Fearing for his safety, they place him on a small escape ship bound for Earth. Lara expresses her worries about their son's future, but Jor-El reassures her that this is their only option. As the ship prepares for departure, an alien parasite named Starro escapes containment in Jor-El's lab and sneaks aboard, unknowingly hitching a ride to Earth. During the journey, the parasite remains hidden until the ship enters hyperdrive, causing it to fall off mid-flight. The ship eventually crashes on Earth, landing in Kansas, where it is discovered by Jonathan and Martha, Kentucky. The Kents take in the child, naming him Clark Kent, and raise him on their farm. As Clark grows older, he realizes that he has extraordinary abilities: super strength, the ability to fly, and enhanced senses. He begins using his powers to help others, adopting the heroic persona of Superman. Over time, Clark meets Batman, and together they form the Justice League to protect Earth from powerful threats. Clark also reveals his secret identity to Lois Lane, a reporter at the Daily Planet. They fall in love, marry, and eventually have a son named Jonathan Jr., or John. As years pass, the Kent family lives a quiet life on their farm in Smallville, though they are still burdened by the challenges of balancing their superhero duties with their family life. One day, John is tasked with writing a report about his parents' work as reporters of the Daily Planet. Frustrated by the assignment, John complains that it is boring compared to the exciting lives his parents lead. Lois tries to explain that being a reporter isn't just about the facts, but about telling an interesting story, even when the ending is already known. She encourages him to focus on the process of writing rather than the result. Before Lois leaves for work, she warns John not to search for his birthday presents. Ignoring her advice, John rummages through his parents' room, hoping to find something for his birthday. Just as he is snooping around, Clark unexpectedly arrives home. He shares a strange discovery from his day at work, an odd phenomenon involving ants. Normally, ants follow the Queen's orders, but Clark noticed that they were moving on their own. He wonders if the Queen dies, will the entire colony collapse, and compares this to the responsibility of a leader. After this discussion, the family spends the rest of the day doing chores around the farm. Later, during a heartfelt conversation, John confesses how much he misses his father and expresses frustration over his frequent absences. He feels neglected and questions if Superman's work is more important than being there for him. John wonders if Clark will ever be there for important moments like his birthday or his sports games. Clark reassures him that he will always be there, though he must leave quickly when he notices the Watchtower, the Justice League satellite, falling from orbit. Superman rushes into space and catches the Watchtower before it can burn up in the atmosphere. He manages to return it to its proper orbit and repairs the damage, only to learn from Green Arrow that the satellite was hit by random space debris. Superman prepares to leave for Japan, where a tsunami is about to strike. Green Arrow, meanwhile, hears a strange noise coming from the Watchtower and decides to investigate. As he moves through the satellite, something leaps at him, leaving him startled and confused. The next day, John is up to bat at his baseball game, feeling let down as he looks around for his father, who promised he'd be there but hasn't shown up. John struggles to hit the ball in his father's absence, missing repeatedly. Lois tries to comfort him, celebrating his birthday to lift his spirits. But John feels rejected and wants to go home, unable to shake the disappointment. Clark eventually returns home and tries to explain why he wasn't there for the game. However, Lois interrupts him, telling him that he doesn't need to explain himself. While the world may need Superman, she reminds him that their son also needs his father to be present. Lois wonders aloud if it's time to tell John about Clark's superhero identity, given how old he is. Clark tries to talk to John, but the boy refuses to listen, frustrated and angry. In his anger, John accidentally activates his heat vision, setting a nearby water tank on fire before running into a cornfield to escape. Clark sees the fire and rushes after him, but John refuses to see him, worried he might hurt his father in the process. Clark reassures him that he would never hurt him and reveals his secret identity, telling John that he is Superman. Back at the house, Lois wonders if John has inherited any of Clark's powers, but Clark only knew about the heat vision. Lois had hoped that the powers had skipped a generation, given that John had shown no abilities before. Despite their concerns, Clark promises to get John checked out and figure out what's going on. Clark then decides to take John to Gotham City to seek advice from Batman. Upon arrival, John immediately notices that the atmosphere in Gotham feels different from Metropolis or any other city. They find Batman in the middle of a fight with Penguin and his men. John suggests helping Batman, but Clark explains that Batman gets upset when others try to intervene in his battles. After Batman apprehends Penguin and hands him over to the police, they head to the Batcave to run some tests. John is excited to see the Batcave and meets Damian Wayne, Batman's son, who is initially rude and distant. Batman asks Damian to set up the meta-analyzer so they can examine John's potential powers. Clark takes a moment to ask Batman how Damian has been adjusting now that he's living with him. Batman responds that while Damian wants to do good, his past with Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins makes it difficult. Although the tests yield no clear results, Batman shares his suspicion that John's powers might be triggered by extreme stress, much like how his own abilities emerged. Batman warns that another traumatic event might be what unlocks further powers. Damian, eager to test this theory, decides to act recklessly. He kicks John off the platform, hoping that the near-death experience will trigger his powers. Superman quickly catches John, scolding Damian for his dangerous actions. Batman is equally furious with Damian, reprimanding him for his recklessness, though he's still uncertain about what powers John might develop next. The encounter leaves John with more questions about his own abilities, and the Kents are left trying to navigate the complexities of parenthood while dealing with the uncertainty of John's emerging powers. Later, Robin receives a call from Wonder Girl of the Teen Titans, who delivers disappointing news. After a team vote, they've decided not to make him a member. She accuses him of being a lone wolf, someone who doesn't care about anyone but himself. John overhears their conversation and tries to console Robin, but the tension is thick. Meanwhile, Batman reports that he's lost contact with the Watchtower. Superman explains that the Watchtower was hit by space debris the previous night, but he had managed to repair it in time. However, he still needs to leave to handle a tsunami that's about to hit Japan, and he tells Green Arrow to check in with Batman. After speaking with Green Arrow, both Superman and Batman begin to suspect something is wrong and decide to investigate further. Superman quickly drops John back home, telling him to stay safe, and then heads for the Watchtower. Lois, noticing his urgency, makes sure John is tucked into bed and leaves him his birthday present by the nightstand. Before Superman departs, Lois mentions that she's been hearing strange tips from her contacts across Central and South America. Crime rates have mysteriously plummeted. While Superman thinks it's a positive sign, Lois is suspicious, suspecting that something unusual might be behind the sudden drop in crime. When they arrive at the Watchtower, things quickly take a turn for the worse. As Superman and Batman investigate, they're caught off guard by a possessed Martian manhunter who infects them with a mysterious force. Meanwhile, back in the Batcave, a possessed Batman sneaks up on Damian, intending to infect him as well. However, Damian is quick to react and slices the spore apart. Realizing Batman is now possessed, a fight ensues, with Damian struggling to defeat his father figure. During the fight, Damian tries to reach Batman, urging him to fight the compulsion, but Batman throws him into a ravine before leaving. Superman, having handled the threat at the Watchtower, speaks to Batman, confirming that all other threats have been dealt with. Damian, barely surviving the fall, overhears their conversation about how they've managed to infect the entire Justice League and the Teen Titans. Damian soon realizes that John is the next target and decides to head to Smallville to warn him. The following day, John is at school, uninterested in the glasses his father gave him for his birthday. Melvin, the school bully, mocks John about his poor performance at the baseball game and tries to pick a fight. When Melvin tries to shove him, John discovers that he, too, has super strength. Confident that he's invulnerable like his father, John provokes Melvin to attack him, feeling sure he can handle whatever comes his way. Later, the school principal calls John into his office to talk about the fight. While in the principal's office, John spots the Batplane outside and rushes out, eager to meet Batman. To his surprise, it's Damian who lands, not Batman. Lois soon arrives and tells John they're heading home. But Damian quickly realizes that Lois, too, is acting strangely. He suspects she's been infected, noticing her suspicious behavior. Damian, now aware of the danger surrounding them, knows the next step is to protect John at all costs. The mystery of the infections within the Justice League and the Teen Titans has only deepened, and it's up to Damian to save John before it's too late. As the Batplane descends, Lois unexpectedly jumps in front of its hood, preventing it from landing. Damian, seeing the situation, tells John to kill her using his powers. John refuses, unable to harm his mother. Instead, he suggests they fly over the pond. There, he uses his heat vision on the stereospore that controls Lois, freeing her from its influence just as she collapses. After this close call, Damian warns that they need to lay low while studying the alien parasite for any weaknesses. Damian expresses concern that Star Labs, or Cord Tech, might have been compromised, proposing that they head to Superman's Fortress of Solitude for safety. As they discuss their next move, they're suddenly chased by Krypto, Superman's loyal dog, who mistakes them for intruders and uses his powers against them. They struggle to evade him, but Jor-El's holographic consciousness appears and stops Krypto. Jor-El explains that John comes from a long line of heroes and scientists, and using Kryptonian technology, he reveals that the creature they're dealing with is Starro. Starro is a parasitic entity capable of producing millions of spores that take control of a planet's inhabitants. Once the hive mind is established, Starro drains the planet of its life force, continuing until it consumes everything. Remembering a previous conversation with his father, John suggests that if they can target the hive mind, the spores will die, freeing everyone from its control. Damian recalls that after they left the Batcave, their fathers had gone to investigate a problem with the Watchtower, only to get infected. He suspects that the hive is located there. With Jor-El's assistance, they use the spaceship Clark had as a baby to travel to the Watchtower in outer space. Upon arrival, Damian hacks into the systems, but before they can get far, they're confronted by a possessed Martian Manhunter, Green Arrow, and the Teen Titans. John and Damian soon come face to face with Starro, who scoffs at their attempts to defeat him. Starro arrogantly explains that humanity should be grateful to him because after he drains Earth of all its life, he will move on to the next planet, continuing to consume until the entire universe is devoured. When John and Damian challenge him, Starro orders Green Arrow to kill them, as he refuses to let them interfere with his plans. Back on Earth, Lois, now free from Starro's control, returns to the Daily Planet. Determined to warn the world, she plans to slip into the midday broadcast to alert people about the alien invasion and reveal how to stop it. Jimmy suggests she speak to the president, as only the president can break in a broadcast during emergencies. Lois contacts Lex Luthor, now U.S. president, to make a public address warning of the invasion, but he demands an apology and endorsement in return. Luthor reveals he's infected by Starro, and Lois tells John that Starro is vulnerable to heat. John discovers his inherited invulnerability while fighting infected enemies, and he and Damian realize they must confront Starro directly. They face their controlled fathers, Superman and Batman, and struggle to defeat them. John suggests they swap opponents, with Damian using Batman's kryptonite ring against Superman. With Starro growing stronger, John and Damian hatch a plan to knock the Watchtower out of orbit, hoping Starro will burn up on re-entry. After evacuating everyone, they set the Watchtower on its course. Starro tries to stop them, but the Watchtower burns up as the spores die. Damian and John prepare to accept their fate, but Superman saves them just in time. Starro survives, attacking again, but they defeat him together. After the battle, Damian receives a call from Wonder Girl inviting him to join the Teen Titans. He decides to hold off on his answer and instead heads to John's baseball game, where John hits the winning score. Damian pushes John off a water tank, hoping for another power discovery. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. See you in the next one.